Hello, my name is Sunny, and we are about halfway through September, which means NaNoWriMo is coming up, and that usually gets me a little, freaked out. I'm not as crazed about it this year as I was last year. I mean, last year I was really kind of freaking out at this point, but I think I have a better hold on it this year, especially because I don't have the crazy job that I had last year. So I have a lot more time to kind of focus on this and plan and be relaxed, and it's just NaNoWriMo. It's not a big deal. It's just 50,000 words in 30 days, whatever. So I want to do videos again this year. I've pretty consistently made it halfway through each NaNoWriMo that I've tried to do these videos on, and then nothing. So maybe this year I actually make it through daily November vlogs, and until then, though, we have prep. It's not November yet, so we have time, and I have a lot of things that I want to prep. If you haven't seen any of my other videos for NaNoWriMo's past, I'll give you a brief overview. My first NaNoWriMo was in 2013, November, and it was the first time I actually caught it. I'd wanted to do it for years, but I never caught it. I would always hear about it afterwards or beforehand and always forget about it, or rue the fact that I forgot about it. That was the first time I actually participated, and I won. I got the 50,000 words. It was a magical experience. The following year, I attempted again in November 2014 and won again. So my first 2 years was, it felt not effortless. Of course, it's hard work, but I won. And it was with the same story too, which is kind of interesting. I made it, the first year I made it halfway through the story, so I knew that I had about 50,000 words left, and I knew I wanted to write a story after that, following it, so I knew that I had plenty of story left to encompass the 2014 NaNoWriMo, so I continued the story, and I still haven't finished that story. There's still no ending on it, but I did make the other 50,000 words. So that story still has about 110,000 words on it. But last year I had a crazy job and attempted my third NaNoWriMo, and I got about 20,000 words in. And I just couldn't do anything else. I was really stressed. It was holiday time. I was training a lot of people at work, and they didn't like some ideas that I came up with to try to promote NaNoWriMo and work, and that's alright. Things happen. I don't have that crazy job anymore. Left it behind. I'm back where I was before, where I had all the time and the energy to be able to do a successful NaNoWriMo. So I'm hoping this year will again be successful, and I'm just really pumped about it. Last year I learned a lot about what works for me. I think each year I learned something else, and what I wanted to focus on last year was learning something that I can apply to what I'm writing for this experiment. NaNoWriMo is always an experiment. It's trying something new and pushing yourself, and that's what I wanted to add to it last year, was reading a book about the craft of writing and then seeing if I could apply that. Last year I read Conflict and Suspense by James Scott Bell, and I took a bunch of notes on it, and it was this big part of my prep, and I feel like it made me a stronger writer because I went through that. It was like taking a really quick course in writing and having a paper assigned at the end, and I'm just glad that I did that. So I want to do that again this year. I have a lot of prep planned. We're about 6 weeks out, so there's definitely time left to do it. So for this year for prep, I'm going over the notes that I took last year. I still have all of the notes from the book that I read, and about halfway through that, I'm thinking I might want to kind of page through and maybe reread this, maybe mostly reread it, kind of see if there's anything that I need to brush up on. I don't know. But this year I'm going to be reading and taking notes on Plot Perfect by Paula Munir. I kind of wanted to stick in the elements of fiction writing selection from Writer's Digest. They have a beginnings, middles, and ends, but they didn't have the bookstore when I was there, and this looked pretty good, so I'm going to go with this one, and we'll see how it turns out. I'm excited to learn more about plotting. That's where I feel like I fall flat. Maybe? I don't know. I feel like there's definitely room for me to learn here, and so that's where I'm going to push myself this year, is to work on crafting a story from plot. Last year I learned about conflict and suspense, and I feel like I can apply that to plot once I learn about plot. I'm kind of a self-taught writer. I've never really taken a lot of formal classes on creative writing. I've taken 2 creative writing classes in my entire lifetime, I think. One in high school, which was basically just kind of like writing whatever, and one in college, which was basically just kind of like writing whatever. None of it went into like the nitty-gritty of writing the way that these kinds of books do, and you see a lot of this kind of advice out there. It's not like this is hidden. So I do know quite a bit about writing. I've done a lot of self-learning, but anyway, it never hurts to sit down and read a book about something. Last year my notes were taken in this notebook, and all of the notes for the story that I was writing this last year are also in this notebook, so I don't want to taint it with a different story. This year I'm using the hedgehog. Last but not least, I think the biggest part of this year's prep is figuring out what the hell I'm going to write. I decided very early on I don't want to write the story that I didn't really do very well on last year. There's a lot of issues with the plot, and so reading the plot book would help me kind of rework it, but that's not what I want to focus on, is like reworking something. I want to just start fresh. I have a couple ideas that have just been kind of sitting in Word documents for a while that I can flesh out with the knowledge download that I get from the book. So I have a bunch of ideas that are kind of floating around, but it's definitely going to be something fresh. I still don't know what it's going to be. I'm leaning in a couple different directions, but I definitely know I'm not going to be writing the story that I was writing last year. I've already done 2 NaNoWriMos on the same story. I don't really want to do that again. This is a new experiment for a new year, and I'm excited for the journey. There's so many other things that I'm going to be doing here on this channel too. Not only am I going to be doing these prep videos throughout the rest of September and October, probably weekly, and then I'm going to attempt to do daily vlogs in November, but I have a big project coming up in October that I'm very excited about. I've got a lot of crafts I've been doing lately, cross-stitch and woodworking, and businesses that I want to be starting and getting off the ground. So there's lots to come, and I'm energized and excited, and I really just appreciate it if you stuck through this entire video. It got a little rambly, which just tends to happen. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you soon with an update on what kind of prep I'm doing. I think maybe I want to lay out more in detail what kind of my plans are once I kind of get that going. So expect that later this week or next week or something. I will see you soon. Bye! And this year